What is happening with the civil case from Rodney Jones against Sean Combs and the litany of other defendants? It's a very large document with a lot of details in it, some very, very disturbing. And if you don't want to sit there and read through the whole thing, we're going to do it for you here on the podcast and social media and our YouTube channels. I'm going to literally break down this document right here. The United States Federal Court, Southern District of New York, Rodney Jones plaintiff versus Sean Combs, Justin Dior Combs, Ethiopia Habert Merriam, Lucian Charles Grange, Christina Coram, Chalice Recording Studios, Love Records, Motown Records, Universal Music Group, Combs Global Enterprises, John and Jane Doe's 1 through 10, and ABC Corporations 1 through 10 labeled as defendants in this case. Now, I'm going to skip the very beginning because it's a lot of legalese that just basically says exactly what I just told you. We're going to begin by talking about the accusations. The beginning of this goes through and explains who everyone is that I just talked about. You're welcome to Google all of those individuals if you'd like. But let's talk about the case itself. And let's start with the individual who is bringing these charges, Rodney Lil Rod Jones. And I'm reading directly from the document right here. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see it. We have it up on the screen. And I'm just going to read the description that we have for Rodney Little Rod Jones because he's the person that's bringing this. And then we're going to go into the events. I'm going to break this down probably into several segments because there's so much to go through. But here we go. Let's break down the lawsuit against Diddy. Rodney Little Rod Jones Jr. from the Windy City, Chicago, Chi-Town is what it says. He was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Mr. Jones is the second oldest son and fourth child of 9 siblings. Mr. Jones comes from a long line of gospel music influencers. Mr. Jones started playing instruments at the age of 5. He began playing drums in church, and at the age of 13, picked up a guitar. From 13 to present day, Mr. Jones has taught himself to play over 13 instruments. Mr. Jones is considered a musical prodigy. His talents have led him to produce and create a commercial marketplace for music that's been recorded by some of the most prestigious and highly acclaimed artists in music history. Throughout the duration of his career, Mr. Jones has worked on the south side of Chicago music scene, playing with the following legendary artists: Georgia Mass Choir, Donald Lawrence, the Clark Sisters, and the Smokey Norfolk. On or about August of 2022, Mr. Jones received a call from Mr. Combs requesting that he produce several songs on a rhythm and blues album titled The Love Album, Off the Grid, otherwise known as Love Album. Mr. Jones agreed, and his life has been detrimentally impacted ever since. Now let's start with a summary of events. From September of 2022 to November of 2023, Mr. Jones produced 9 songs on Mr. Combs' Love Album. Mr. Jones lived with Mr. Combs for months at a time, spending holidays, birthdays, and missing major family events. Mr. Jones resided at Mr. Combs' residence located in Los Angeles, California, New York City, and Miami, Florida. Mr. Jones also spent several weeks on a yacht rented by Mr. Combs in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer on the Love Album. The claims raised to this complaint have been corroborated through witness statements, video, audio recordings, and images that Mr. Jones has in his possession. Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly. On several occasions, Mr. Combs took Mr. Jones' cell phone and began recording himself. As a result, Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity. Mr. Jones has secured irrefutable evidence of, here we go, A, the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms. C, Mr. Combs providing laced alcoholic beverages to minors and sex workers at his homes in California, New York, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Florida. Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Christina Horam, KK, instructing her staff to retrieve drugs so she can provide it to Mr. Combs for his consumption. E. Christian Combs drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. F. Mr. Combs detailing how he planned to leverage his relationship with Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact of his public image of Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. G. Young Miami's cousin or the assistant sexually assaulting Mr. Jones. Actor Cuba Gooding Jr. sexually harassing and assaulting Mr. Jones. Rapper, redacted, on Mr. Combs' yacht, consorting with underage girls, sex workers, and J, R&B singer, redacted, in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home, consorting with underage girls and sex workers. There's a lot here to unpack. A lot. It starts and breaks itself down into different sections of what happened where and when. And we're going to go through all of them. The next section is Chalice Recording Studios shooting. Yep, shooting. We're going to take a look at the evidence and the claims in this suit in our next episode as we continue to dive into the accusations against Diddy and the downfall of Sean Diddy Combs. Press subscribe so you don't miss any of it. We got a lot to go through. Get some popcorn. You want to check this all out with no ads. You can do it on our podcast channel, wherever you get podcasts, or Apple Podcasts specifically. You can go ad-free there and check that. Even try it for 3 days free if you just want to binge away on all this. There is a lot to come. My name is Tony Brueski. Buckle up and stay with us. We're going to start breaking this down in our next segment.